International Airport. Today is Wednesday, April the 24th, excuse me, 2024, and it is approximately 5:03 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you could please, wait, let me have, yeah.
Yes, Mayor. Please state your name for the record. Member from the City of Colton.
Frank Navarro.
Member from the City of Loma Linda.
Dusty Rigsby.
Member from the County of San Bernardino, 3rd District.
Dawn Rao.
Member from the City of Highland.
Penny Lilburn.
And members from the City of San Bernardino.
Helen Trent.
Theodore Sanchez.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'd like to note that Member John Echevarria and Member Fred Shred are also present in the audience.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have closed session this evening, and at this time I'll ask our legal counsel to read us into closed session, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items on the closed session today. Both are pending litigation. One regarding Hinojosa versus San Bernardino International Airport. The second, which is Franco versus San Bernardino International Airport.
Thank you. We will adjourn into closed session and reconvene shortly. Thank you. Bring the meeting back to order and ask the attorney to read us out of closed session, please.
We have no reportable action, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the agenda. Call to order the open session, and if I could have Councilmember Sanchez do the pledge.
So rise, face the flag, right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, do we have any items to be added or deleted?
No, sir, we do not.
I'm sorry?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, thank you. Conflict of interest disclosure by commissioners? Hearing none, seeing none. Moving on to item G, informational items.
So we'll start on a general note, very hot off the press. Our interactions and collaboration with our friends at CBP continues. And I'd like Mr. Gibbs to give an update on the most recent global entry pop-up that they did this week at our international terminal. Mark?
Thank you, Mike. CBP has been utilizing the international terminal to provide global entry interviews for people throughout the region. It's called a pop-up event because they post it live within a week of the time that you can select San Bernardino International as an option to receive your interview with Customs for global entry. So like Mike mentioned, we had another one this past week. March was our first event, and we should have them on the schedule on a more regular basis in the months ahead. We're pretty excited to have them out. They bring a crew with them, and the response has been fantastic from members of the community that seek out the airport and avoid the long drive to LAX or Long Beach, which are the other two locations to receive your interviews at. A little bit of good news on the international front and our great partners with Customs and Border Protection.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs.
And then we have one more update on our grant programs. As you all undoubtedly are seeing, our folks in DC are talking about another extension of FAA authorization. The current authorization runs through May 10th, so much to do. And our delegation is certainly aware it's a huge priority for us. But on that note, our LA office staff continue to work with us on our current year grant, and so I'd like Mark to give you a status of that project, the AOA Access Route.
Thank you, Mike. The FAA administers grant revenues through the Aviation Trust Fund to airports that are part of what's called the National Plan of Integrated Airport System. It's a really flashy acronym called NIPIAS, and there's about 3,300 airports throughout the country that are part of it. They're all part of different classifications. As the airport has continued to grow, our entitlement funds through that program have grown along with it. So recently, the airport was reclassified to a primary airport. What that means for us is that we receive additional grant funds through the FAA, through the Aviation Trust Fund. And the funds are specific to airports. They're specific to airport infrastructure projects on the airfield, which can be quite costly. But for us, with a new passenger service, with the increase in cargo activity, with the recently passed congressionally provided funds through the bilateral infrastructure law bill funding, what that means for us here locally is about $3 million a year to make improvements on the airfield to airport infrastructure. So the latest in that for this year is the construction of a new road, the AOA access road. It makes our airport manager, Mr. Galvan over there, he's the handsome looking guy with the blue tie. He's going to be able to bypass the very busy corridor between the UPS facility and the domestic terminal, which is really good when you're operating an airport, and it's a welcome addition to some of the infrastructure on the airport. But the point is there's more coming behind that through consistent and predictable funding, which helps our grant planning process and the development processes that Mr. Jeff Barrow is in charge of over there. So happy to answer any questions if there are any, but we're very pleased to see that new category for San Bernardino International Airport.
Thank you, Mr. Gibbs. Comments or questions from commissioners? See none, moving on the agenda. I present the consent calendar, items 3 to 7. Chair will entertain a motion to
Motion for
approve.
approval?
Who was that? Mayor Tran and Mayor Lilburn.
If I may, Chair, I'll abstain from voting on 7, approval of minutes for the March 27th meeting.
Okay.
I didn't watch the recording or was here for the meeting, so I don't want to vote on that.
Okay, clerk will make a note of that.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Madam Clerk, the vote, please.
Yes, we have a motion by Member Tran and a second by Member Lilburn. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Tran?
Yes.
And an abstention by Member Sanchez.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item I. Commission action items 8. Consider and adopt the proposed budget adjustments for the fiscal year 2023-2024. Mr. Costa, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mayor. What we have before you is a net budget adjustment of expenses in excess of revenues of $55,400. The largest piece of this is a $45,000 increase for a covered equipment shed or port for the FBO, and that $45,000 will go towards acquiring professional services to begin and complete the design of that. In addition to that, we have a $3,000 increase for the fuel farm electric, a $7,400 increase to pay for the repairs of an uninsured traffic collision that one of our security vehicles was involved with, and that vehicle's already repaired. And then the final one is a offsetting capital project, inter-project fund transfer of $5,830 to pay for landfill pavement repairs. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Questions or comments from the commissioner?
Move for approval.
Mayor Tran moves for approval on item 8.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Sanchez. Madam Clerk?
Yes. We have a motion by Member Tran and a second by Member Sanchez. Please state your votes for the record. Member Navarro?
Yes.
Member Rigsby?
Yes.
Member Rao?
Yes.
Member Lilburn?
Yes.
Member Tran?
Yes.
And Member Sanchez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 9. This is to consider and discuss the SPD Good Neighbor Program first quarter 2024 report. Mr. Gibbs.
Thank you, Mayor. Each quarter, we like to report on activities that have occurred through the Good Neighbor Program and bring those before you for review. And with us here to walk us through this quarter's report, which is the first quarter of 2024, is Ms. Rosemary Barnes. She is she's one of our consultants with Aviatrix Communications LLC. And Ms. Barnes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. President Navarro, Commissioners, and Mike and Mark, great to see you all again to deliver the first quarter report for the Good Neighbor Program.
Thank you.
And I'm in charge this time. Thank you, Jillian. So as we always do, we review kind of some of the fun things we've done over the past couple of months to promote the airport and share with the community what the airport is doing to engage with them. We published the winter newsletter, and of course each of those articles then is just really good information to share in different social media posts, and then we continue to promote subscriptions. We promoted Breeze service and their affordable fares, including that new seasonal service to Phoenix. Congrats again on that. And then very notable, I know Mark shared this with you last month, but the new satellite-based flight procedure took effect in late March. Very exciting. I know this has been a long time coming for the airport team to finally have that up and running. So it provides consistent arrival path and minimizes the flight path over the communities of Highland and Redlands. And then that informational video is now posted to the Good Neighbor website, so you can find that on sbdgoodneighbor.com. It's there for the public, it's there for the pilots. So if you want to review that again, please, by all means, do so. And then I was just talking to John about the triennial, another heavy lift behind you for another 3 years. Congrats on that. And the weather cooperated, so congrats. It looked like a great event, and loved seeing those photos and video. And then the airport's ongoing outreach, communicating and being involved in the community. There were a couple of sponsorships with K-Rock, some snow events, the Truckapalooza in downtown Riverside, and then a career day presentation at the local grade school. Okay, we're going to get into the numbers. Let's see. Quiet for January. We started out the year very quietly. We had 2 noise comments filed by 2 households. And that was the exact same situation for February. 2 noise comments filed by 2 households. We heard a little bit more in March. We had 19 noise comments filed by 8 households. And then let's look at those totals and trends. So year over year for the first quarter, there was a decrease in the number of comments received, despite ongoing aircraft operations and our ongoing information to the public about the airport and its operations. Here's the totals of those numbers I shared earlier. We had a total of 23 noise comments for the quarter, filed by 12 distinct households. And you see here that breakout of city and zip code, where over half of the comments filed were from 3 households in the city of Highland. Okay, here's page 19. We have the top 5 commenters for the first quarter, and it shows where those commenters, the cities that they reside in. Okay, let's see, page 20. And here again, year over year, those trends, you see that the number of comments decreased relatively significantly, and we had a slight increase in the number of households sharing comments year over year. And as we've seen before, we hear from our neighbors where they tell us that they continue to be concerned about an airplane's proximity to their home. Here is how that breaks out. On the left, the pie chart shows the type of aircraft category that we received comments about, where the majority of the comments were about jet aircraft activity. As far as in the middle of the type of concern we received, the majority of those were for people sharing that they were concerned about an aircraft flying over their home. And then on the right, we show that 80% of comments received were filed via the website as opposed to the comment hotline. And here's that same information in table format. And on the right, we did hear from 40% of the commenters that did want to receive a response from the airport about their comment. And the airport takes every opportunity to contact them as the resources allow. As we've seen before, most of the comments come from within 5 to 10 miles of the airport. Here you see that heat map showing that 5 to 10 mile radius from the airport where the comments are hailing from. And we'll wrap this up. As I on the right, just to restate that we did have a decrease in the number of comments year over year, and a slight increase in the number of comments filed from households. But quarter over quarter, there was a decrease also in the number of noise comments, but the number of households remained steady. And that year-over-year noise comment decrease, we're attributing it to our ongoing outreach, our own ongoing communication with the public, letting them know what's happening here at the airport. And we're pleased that our program continues to be an important resource to the community, both pilot education, outlet for neighbors, and then just general awareness about the airport and its activities. So this concludes the report for the quarter. And if any questions?
Thank you very much. Questions,
answer
comments
those.
from commissioners? Mayor Lundberg.
Thank you. Thank you for your good neighbor report.
Sure.
So 3 months ago, we had 0 complaints in Highland. And now I see one up to 3, or 2 or 3, and then up to the high number.
Yeah.
Regular concerns, same concerns, any new concerns, or other than that the aircraft is flying over their homes and they're concerned about that? Is that the majority?
Yeah, I think we typically see aircraft, the concern about aircraft flying over the home, and then that that perception of an aircraft that is, maybe it's a perception of too close to their home. But Mark and I discussed earlier, a lot of it's just seasonality too. You're seeing springtime, March, people are outdoors more. They're gardening. I've got a ton of weeds in my backyard right now that I should be outside enjoying some sunshine, and they maybe even early barbecuing and getting together with family again. So that's what we're seeing. Just that change, especially in March too, with the uptick as opposed to the 2 previous months.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Rigsby.
Do you ever track down these spurious long-distance HEMIT complaints?
Mark and I looked at that too. Mark, I'll let you respond to that.
We respond to all complaints. Some of them are a little further out than others. Some of them get the wrong airport when they make a complaint. We do get that as well. But some people, it's kind of hard to predict, but regardless of where they're at, we always respond to any complaint that asks us for a response, including HEMIT.
I always talk to Mark every quarter, like, oh, here's a new city showing up. Let's talk about that, and just pinpointing where that is and the potential for why.
Okay. All right. Nobody else. Thank you very much. An excellent report.
Thanks. Great
Thank
to
you.
see you again. Thank you.
This is an update item. No vote required on this item. We move on to item number 10. Review of status of action plan for the San Bernardino International Airport. Mr. Burrows.
So I think I'll be brief with this one here today. Will suffice it to say, like many of your organizations, our teams are working diligently on your new draft budget right now, and wanted to thank Mr. Cousineau and his team because this year that includes a migration to our new accounting software. So a lot of time and attention. Ms. Pritchett and her team have really stepped in and tried to make sure we're getting the best inputs. So we're on schedule and on track, which looks like we are. We got a little bit ahead of it this year. So just want to thank the entire team for their input and feedback. So we should be on schedule to get you your budget on time, and it's going to balance. Or you're not going to see it. So that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, any added or deferred items?
No, sir.
Thank you. We come now to open session, and Mr. Gandolfi, you had requested to speak on item 9 and item in open session, so I'll let you do both now, okay?
6 minutes.
Good evening, David Gandolfi. I live over in Highland. I wanted to first talk on the item 9, the report for the aircraft, or what's going on, the complaints or comments. I will say I am 7 for March. Looking at the previous reports, basically it was 0 coming out of Highland all the way until about mid-March. And suddenly we've got Amazon Air flying over to homes, and there's no misconception of what they're doing. I know their heights. The problem is you have a procedure or a policy you would like them to fly south of the wash. Now we have the satellite system that's supposed to be helping guide them in and hopefully dogleg over to Lowe's to come in onto 2-4, and it's not happening. Some of those aircraft were also UPS, which I haven't seen come over before. So I don't know if you need to kick the satellite a little further south so that they're not flying over the homes over in the east side of Highland. I mean, I know the airport's here, but you guys have your procedures you'd like them to come in on, and like I said, it's been basically Amazon Air, the aircraft that want to seem constantly flying over. And so I'll finish up with that. That's it for item 9.
Okay.
Well, maybe ask staff what's going on, why the aircraft are doing that. The other is open session. City of Highland, a few months back, put a nice timer clock in so that people, when they're speaking, they know they have 3 minutes and they can do a countdown. I see one up there now. It's the first time I've seen it. So that's great. Have it up there. Keep it up there. The other is maybe updating the website. The archive for the agendas, the video links and so forth, there's some months missing in there. It's going to be basically October, November, December. Fortunately, I had my saved agendas that I could refer back to when I was looking at the numbers for the flights. So that probably needs to be updated, as well as you probably need to start a 2024 agenda archive. The other is love the cameras. Wish some cities would get it. It's nice to see what's going on, being clear of what is going on here at the airport or at the local city or our government institutions. And lastly is, I know I don't fly Breeze, I fly Delta. Maybe we can get Delta over here because I do a lot of flights up to Salt Lake. And I've been noticing on those flights, they are packed. I did a surprise visit to my wife up there who's spending 6 weeks and my grandkids. And the flight coming home, it was a late night flight, was packed coming back to Ontario. I know they have a small hub up there. Maybe we've got enough land here, enough area, give them a small, satellite hub, entice them to come here because I think they're a pretty good airline. Unfortunately, Breeze doesn't meet my needs. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
No, sir, no other public comments.
Thank you very much. Public comment is now closed. Commission member comments, Mr. Sanchez?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up when we were discussing the action plan. I know there was a major overhaul, or I don't know, the initiation of an action plan back in 2015, and there was a major overhaul in 2020, right? Am I understanding? Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong here. My impression is that the action plan is supposed to be kind of a long-term roadmap and kind of goal setting for the agency and the staff corps, right?
Yeah, actually, the action plan is a 6-month look ahead of the business plan. The business plan was updated most recently in 2020. We're due for an update in 2025.
2025,
It runs a
okay.
5-year cycle.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this is maybe it's a good time to maybe encourage staff. I'd like to look at kind of a long-term plan. We're kind of looking at doing something like that with the city. Kind of like what's the goals stretched out to the next 2 to 4 years, I would say. Right? Are we trying to? What are we trying to do here in the region? Are we trying to bring more airlines? Where are we trying to increase business? Are we trying to increase traffic flow? The regional contentness with what the service we're providing, whatever the case is. I think it'd be good to kind of plan something like that, so we have several stages, right? Our 6-month plan, our year plan, and maybe something kind of more stretched out.
Yep.
I don't know. And something you guys can consider, and if the board likes the idea, maybe we can run with it.
You're due for an update. It's coming up.
All right, sounds good. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, commission member comments are closed. There being no other business to attend to for the International Airport Authority, we are adjourned.
Okay.